Good afternoon, everyone. Today's Thursday, March 4th, 2021. The time is 2:03 p.m. This is a special meeting with our auditor, Dena Darrow, who's also our Director of Finance. Officially calling this meeting to order. Attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Fillios. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. One and only item, fiscal year 21, Kootenai County Assigned Fund Balance Allocations. Dena.
Thank you, Commissioners. So I'll be brief today. Hopefully this won't take real long. So about 2 weeks ago, I sent you this workbook, and I sent it again this morning, just so it would be at the top of your email. So we're going to go over the two left tabs. So every year, we look at our fund balance and where it's at after the year end is done. We're finalizing our CAFR right now, so this is why it's now. So we look at our unassigned and assigned fund balance together, and then according to our policy 2019-33, we look at the general fund and the justice fund, and we set aside an unassigned fund balance.
I can see it. Good. Thank you.
2 months of operating and personnel as our cushion, and then whatever is left above and beyond that, that goes into the assigned fund balance where you earmark and parking lot those funds for some future use. When you earmark those funds, nothing happens. They just sit in there. They're not in the budget until you appropriate them. It's just excess cash where you might have a plan for it. So it's a loose way of the county planning for the future. So this tab shows you how I arrived at what the unassigned or cushion balance should be. So we looked at our projected actual for this year, and we looked at the amended, bless you, the amended budget for last year. According to policy, the greater of those two becomes our base amount for our cushion, and then we divide that by 12 months, multiply by 2, there's our 2-month cushion.
Okay.
So then the way we normally allocate is we'll put about 56% of that in the general fund and the rest in the justice fund. Here is our current unassigned balance. Here's our new policy amounts. So this year we're short $135,000. So the amount to assign is $11,800,727. That's your full assigned fund balance to allocate. So then we'll go here. You can see that amount transcribed down here. As a sample, I went ahead and plugged in some numbers. You can add or subtract. Right now, this is your beginning amount. We're taking out the 135 so that we have a total over here at the end of the amount we have left. These numbers here represent what you allocated in the 2021 budget. This blue amount is broken out here for the projects that were approved in the 2021 budget. So we adjusted that line for that use. Same thing here, same thing here. So after we subtract this out, here's what we have left. So you can change these numbers any way that you want, and then whatever the modification in this column from here will land here. So the assigned fund balance is made up of general fund and justice fund. General fund is broken down into Fund 10. Fund 11 is our big building and construction reserve, and then we have the justice fund. Right now, we have $229,000 sitting for camera replacement. I know that there's probably going to be, we're going to need more than that after Grant came forward a couple of weeks ago. So in this example, I raised that to $500,000. Now you can adjust that any way you want to. We normally have $600,000 to $1 million for our IT capital planning. That's to keep their long-term plan going. So I just arbitrarily put that in there. This one doesn't count. This is a closing amount. So these are kind of done. So I took those out. The 5-year plan, I left alone at 1.5. Facilities improvements, kind of the plug. So any excess, I packed in there. I backed out the sheriff campus expansion and the campus security project and just consolidated everything into this general line. Because we know we're talking about a major building project, I thought it might be simpler to just zero all these out and just drop it in there except for your 5-year plan. General reserve is kind of the plug for the general fund. So just whatever's left, we've got, right now we've got $1.5 million for healthcare overspends. I reduced that down in this example to $500,000. And then grant matches, I just left at $500,000 because we don't know, you know, if the department doesn't have enough for grant match, we have this pool for grant matches. I know that a lot of the departments are actively seeking out grant money just because of the tax situation. So you can change any of these any way you want. What's your priority? Where we end up here, what sorts of things, where do you want to see that money plugged? And again, this is just a placeholder.
Sure. So I have a question on the health care. I know that a lot of elective stuff was canceled for 20, so now we're in 21. If that starts to open back up again, then do you think we're going to need to?
It's tough to tell. Right now, we're under budget. We ended the year under budget, so we have a little bit of fund balance sitting in there to absorb any overspend to level that back out again. Might not hurt to have a little bit there, but
What's our spending rate on the health? We're not quite halfway through the fiscal, oh, well, wait a minute, they run, well, no, that's right, we can go fiscal year. Are we tracking what we budgeted? Do you know?
we're under.
We're under.
We're under.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering, as things start to open up, is that going to be a problem?
It's a weird year. It's unprecedented. Healthcare is hard to judge.
So, general reserve,
Yep,
what constitutes that, Dena?
that's just basically a plug. Whatever's left in Fund 10 that's not assigned to these other items, we just call it a general reserve. That's like a backstop.
Undersheriff had a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan, did you have a?
On the sheriff's office expansion, what was that supposed to, is that the detective expansion into the Pierce Clegg building? I'm not quite sure what that, you got $2 million on that?
I don't know. I was hoping to just go from the top down, and so
Okay.
we can get to that.
Yeah, it stuck out at me because I don't know that we had that much dedicated to something.
Right.
I don't know.
And, well, I'm up, that's the only other thing is on those cameras for the, under the Justice Fund. My recollection on that is that somewhere there was like 600 or 400,000 set aside, but some of the money was supposed to go to JDC as part of it. Am I remembering that right? Okay, so that would be the same place then, or that would be how we would address it if we go down that road through that 220,000, correct? That's for both.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so that's what was used in the 2021 budget, juvenile detention and jail. That was allocated and used up here. So that's what your remaining balance is.
And so Dena's suggestion in the yellow is to add 270 back in, so now it's back up to 500 since we don't actually know.
That makes sense to me now. Thank you.
And a lot of these were just general, you know, because this is a parking lot, basically. So it's like, we know that, you know, the sheriff's area needs to be expanded eventually. This money was penciled in, but it's not a hard and fast number. It's not actually allocated. It's just a shorthand of what's sitting in there and what might it might be spent on in the future. But when we're in the budget process and we need money for a particular project, it could come out of any of these lines. All this is a spreadsheet. These are just lump sums sitting in each one of these funds.
Okay. Okay, so where are we now then?
So did you want to, how much money do you think you'd like to have in reserve to cover healthcare overspends? Right. Go ahead.
Sorry, I would like $1 million. I mean,
Okay.
just because we have to pay for it. There's no, oops, we don't have money, wait till next year. That's an expense we have to pay for. So I'd feel more comfortable if it was at $1 million.
Okay.
Which is what you have up there, right?
Actually, I have a half a
You've got
million.
500. You're gonna go to a mill?
Oh, because it's 1.5 now, and I remember in previous years it was at 1. And so I think in 2019, it was really high, and so we went to 1.5 thinking the future would hold that, but it
All right,
didn't.
go ahead.
Okay. All right. So would you like to leave a half a million in matches?
Yeah, not knowing any more than we do at this point.
And if
Yeah.
you needed to pull it for something else, you
Right.
could. Again, this is just a spreadsheet. All right. General reserve, do we want to just hold off on that? Because that's basically just going to be, all I did was adjust this for what you were short. So this pretty much, this is the layout for Fund 10. The total amount in Fund 10 is 4.6 million. You could add other categories if there was something you particularly wanted to set aside, but this general reserve is pretty non-specific.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's too early to do that, but if you just want to take that 500,000 that we added to medical and take it out of that line,
Out of the general reserve?
yeah.
Okay?
Or we can do that at the end. I mean,
Sure. So you want to reduce the general reserve by 500,000?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, because at this point, how do you make a case for 3.1 versus 2.6? I mean, it's not final anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So did you want to keep this fairly high level?
Which one is this now? The facilities improvement, new building?
Yeah.
So basically, all I did was I said, okay, except for the 5-year plan, I just took everything out of all these other lines and just plopped it right into that.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Making sure that works. All right. So you're okay with these two?
Yeah.
All right. So IT, I bumped that back up to $1 million.
I think we have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine, yeah.
Okay. And are we good with $500,000 there?
I hope so. I hope it
Yeah.
comes in a lot less than that.
Okay.
But once again, that's something that can't be put off. We've got to get
Right.
that done.
Okay. All right. Then you are done.
Okay, so now where is the audio video in this?
Yeah, it's this year. So it'll come out of contingency or
Okay.
someplace
Yeah.
else.
None of this is in the budget, but you can pull from these amounts.
Okay,
Right, which we may need to pull from the camera system once they find out exactly how much it's going to be.
Right.
that's it.
Yep.
So for the facilities improvement for the new building, so to speak, we're at 4.8?
Yep.
And technically, we could put that 2.6 in there as well, because
Sure.
that's just, last year when we got done, we had 3 million left over, so.
Yep.
Do you wanna do that?
You want to move the full 2.6?
You can.
Bill?
Yeah, I think.
Move it all?
It wouldn't, yeah, at this point, because of what we're contemplating, I think it makes sense.
That'll take us up to what, 7.4 or something?
Yep.
Okay, so that would bring us up to, yeah, 7.4.
Huh.
And I can clean this up and I'll send it to you. So if you're satisfied with these allocations,
Yeah, for
then
now.
I will draw up a resolution, and I believe we have that on next week's business meeting. And then once you approve it, I will make the journal entries in the system to reflect those new assigned and unassigned balances in their proper location.
Can I just change my mind?
Uh-oh,
Can we
go
do,
ahead.
can we do 2 million in IT?
Whoa!
Right now, it's 1 million. Just take 1 million out of the building and then put 1 million in IT. I'm just seeing some things down the road that are just going to be,
Why don't we do 500?
so another 500, so
Yeah.
1.5.
Yeah, let's go to 1.5.
So what is it that you're seeing down the road
Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
worthy of
Assessor.
a 100% increase?
Assessor is, I think theirs ballpark 3 to 5 million for their new system. Community development just got their new system, which was luckily, under 300,000. But I think even a new ERP system in the next 10 years, that's multiple millions. So I just want to kind of try to hedge some of those things that I see are coming. Luckily, on base we've already planned for on base in that amount.
But this is essentially money to be spent this year, right?
No.
Because, we're calling it fiscal 21. Which is the
So
year we're in.
because we're in fiscal year 21, we adjust all these balances because we've allocated from the budget. So none of this has been updated. So now that we've closed the books and our CAFR's done, we want to make sure that our balances reflect everything that we used for the 2021 budget. And then that'll sit there until you decide what you want to use for the 2022 budget. Then when we finish our CAFR again, then we'll revisit this again. So it's a lagging sort of exercise.
Yeah, so when we're going through our budgets and we'll say, okay, the cars, for instance, okay, we've got this many cars, we can take them out of this instead. So it's just like our savings account kind of thing.
I'm still good at 1.5 at this point. We can always move.
That's fine.
later.
Okay. All right.
Bill, you,
All right. Any questions? Anybody in the audience have questions?
yeah.
All right. That's all I had.
Good job, thank you.
Betcha.
Anyone else?
Anybody on the line have questions?
Okay, public comment? Hearing none. 2:21, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dena.